From Earth's ocean platforms, strange devices activated. They didn't fire weapons or launch missiles. Instead, they created something that Kralgon science had theorized but never achieved. Controlled gravitational fields. "Admiral," Subin cried out, "they're generating gravity wells." Around 30 Kralgon warships, the space itself seemed to bend. The ships were pulled together by an irresistible force, metal hulls crumpling like paper as they collided. Within seconds, a third of the Kralgon fleet had been compressed into a ball of twisted metal, no larger than a small moon. On the bridge of the Eternal Conquest, alarms sounded as systems failed across the ship. Fires broke out as power conduits overloaded. Crew members ran to emergency stations, their training giving way to panic. "Status report," Zhou demanded, even as the deck tilted beneath his feet. "We've lost 217 ships," Subin reported, his voice hollow. "Most of the remainder are heavily damaged. Our weapons are ineffective against their shields. Our own shields cannot withstand their attacks." Zhou gripped the arms of his command chair. In all his years of service, all the worlds he had conquered, he had never faced such complete defeat. And in just 3 minutes, the main screen flickered and then showed General Zhou once more. Unlike before, she wasn't alone. She stood in a massive command center, surrounded by hundreds of officers from different nations, all watching the destruction of the Kralgon fleet. "Admiral Zhou," she said, her voice level, "your attack has failed. As you can see, Earth is not defenseless. We never were." Zhou stared at the screen, at this human who had orchestrated his defeat. "What happens now?" he asked simply. Zhou's expression softened slightly. "Now you learn a lesson that your empire has forgotten. True strength lies not in conquest but in cooperation." She paused. "I'll give you the same choice you gave us. Surrender, or be destroyed completely. Unlike you, I actually mean it when I say the choice is yours." Zhou looked around at his broken bridge, at the officers who had followed him into this disaster. For the first time in his career, he spoke the words no Kralgon admiral had ever uttered. "We surrender." In the aftermath of the battle, a strange quiet settled over Earth's command center. Victory screens showed the remains of the once mighty Kralgon fleet. Just 47 ships left operational from the original 300. General Zhou stood before the main view screen addressing Admiral Zhou and the surviving Kralgon officers who had been brought to Earth under heavy guard. "Your empire has committed atrocities across 3 galactic arms," Zhou said, her voice firm but not unkind. "We have proof of this. For decades, we've monitored your communications, studied your conquests, and recorded your crimes." Behind, her large screens showed images from dozens of worlds, species forced into labor, ecosystems destroyed for resources, entire civilizations living in fear. The Kralgon officers shifted uncomfortably as they witnessed their empire's history through the eyes of their victims. "We could destroy your remaining ships," Zhou continued. "But that is not our way. Instead, you will return to your homeworld with these recordings." She gestured to a small data device on the table between them. "Your emperor will see exactly what happened here today. He will understand that Earth is not alone in our resistance." Zhou looked confused. "Not alone, but no other world has ever." "Because no other world knew there could be hope," interrupted Zhou. "That changes today." She nodded to an officer who pressed a button. A new image appeared on the screen. Earth ships, hundreds of them, emerging from hidden bases around the planet. These weren't defensive vessels but sleek ships built for deep space travel. "While we prepared our defenses, we also built these," Zhou explained. "They are already heading to worlds under Kralgon control, not to conquer but to liberate, to offer alliance instead of subjugation." Zhou's face paled. "The Emperor will never allow this. He will send more ships, thousands of them." Zhou smiled. "We're counting on it. Let me show you something else." The screen changed again to show a massive space station hidden on the far side of Earth's moon, previously concealed from Kralgon sensors. "This is just one of 10 such stations around our solar system. Each can generate the same gravitational weapon you experience today, but at 10 times the strength and 100 times the range. If your Emperor sends another fleet, they won't even get close enough to see Earth before they're destroyed. For the first time, Deho looked truly defeated. Not just physically beaten, but mentally broken. The certainty that had guided his entire life, the inevitability of Kralgon dominance, was gone. Why? He asked simply. Why not just destroy us now? Because that's what you would do, Jiun replied. And we are not you. On the Kralgon homeworld, Emperor Tewu sat frozen on his throne as he watched the recordings from Earth. Around him, ministers and generals whispered urgently, fear evident in their voices. For 5 centuries, the Empire had known only victory. Now, in a single day, everything had changed. Impossible, the Emperor whispered. One world cannot stand against us. But the evidence was undeniable, and worse, it was spreading. Already reports were coming in from distant colonies of uprisings, of subject species fighting back with renewed hope. The recordings from Earth had somehow leaked to every corner of the Empire. In a labor camp on a distant mining world, alien, prisoners gathered around a smuggled display device, watching Earth fighters destroy Kralgon warships. Their guards, seeing the same footage, made no move to stop them. On 1,000 worlds, beings who had lived under the boot of Kralgon rule for generations looked up at the stars with new eyes. The word Earth was whispered like a prayer, a promise that tyranny could be defeated. Back on Earth, as the last Kralgon ship departed with Admiral Zhou and his message, Ji-un stood at a window overlooking the Pacific Ocean. The defense platforms were slowly sinking back beneath the waves, their job done for now. What will they do? Asked Han-jun, standing beside her. The Emperor? Ji-un considered this. They have 2 choices. Continue as they have and face destruction, or change. I hope they choose the latter. And if they don't? Ji-un turned away from the window. Then the galaxy will change without them. As dawn broke across Earth, humanity looked to the stars, not with fear but with purpose. The long deception was over. Now began a new chapter. Not just for Earth, but for all the worlds that had suffered under Imperial rule. A new galactic order was beginning, built not on conquest, but on cooperation. And so it begins, she said softly. Admiral Zhou watched with satisfaction as the main weapon of the eternal conquest fired toward Earth. The beam of energy, bright enough to be seen from millions of kilometers away, streaked toward the Pacific Ocean. This demonstration would show the humans the futility of resistance. But something unexpected happened. As the energy beam approached Earth's atmosphere, a previously invisible field flickered into existence. The weapon's energy didn't hit the ocean as intended. Instead, it spread across the field like water on glass, dissipating harmlessly. What happened? Zhou demanded, his voice sharp with surprise. Unknown, Admiral, Su-bin replied frantically, checking the readings. The energy signature was absorbed by something. Before Zhou could respond, thousands of Earth satellites suddenly changed. What had appeared to be simple communication devices transformed, revealing advanced technology hidden beneath false exteriors. They began generating a visible energy field that now completely surrounded the planet. Impossible, whispered Zhou. Our intelligence? His words were cut short as massive structures began rising from Earth's oceans. Like giant towers emerging from the depths, defense platforms broke the surface, water cascading down their sides. Each one bristled with weapons, unlike anything in the Kralgon database. On the moon, what had seemed like innocent research stations split open to reveal enormous railguns, now pivoting to target the invasion fleet. Admiral, called the communications officer, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. Too stunned to speak, Zhou merely nodded. The main screen showed a woman in a military uniform. Her expression was calm, almost sympathetic. Admiral Zhou, I am General Ji-un of Earth's United Defense Command. I see you've discovered our little secret. Zhou found his voice. What trickery is this? Earth is a pre-interstellar civilization. Jiun smiled slightly. That's what we wanted you to believe. The truth is, we've known about your empire for decades. 50 years ago, one of your scout ships crashed in our mountains. The pilot survived long enough to warn us about the Kralgon Empire before he died. Daeho's mind raced. He remembered reports of a missing scout ship from that time, but the incident had been dismissed as a navigation error. Since then, Jiun continued, we've been preparing. Every satellite you see has two purposes. Every space mission had a hidden agenda. We studied your technology and improved upon it, all while making you believe we were primitive. Impossible, Daeho said again, but with less conviction. No single world could develop such defenses in secret. Not a single nation, Jiun corrected. A united planet. When faced with a common threat, old enemies become allies. We've had the best minds from every country working together for half a century. On the bridge of the eternal conquest, silence reigned as the crew tried to process this revelation. The tactical display now showed thousands of defense systems that hadn't been there moments before. Admiral, Subin said quietly, our sensors indicate their technology is advanced. In some cases beyond our own. Daeho felt a cold weight in his stomach. In all his years of conquest, he had never faced such a situation. The Kralgon Empire succeeded because they attacked worlds that couldn't defend themselves, or at least couldn't defend themselves well. I.e., we'll give you one chance, Jiun said, her voice now hard. Take your fleet and leave our system. Tell your emperor that Earth is not for conquest. Pride surged through Daeho. He was a Kralgon admiral. Retreat was unthinkable. Besides, while the defenses looked impressive, they remained untested. Your deception was clever, he admitted. But you are one world against an empire that spans galaxies. Your defenses, however, surprising, cannot stand against our full might. Jiun sighed, looking genuinely disappointed. I had hoped you would choose wisdom over pride. Very well. She looked off-screen and nodded to someone. Defensive measures authorized. May your gods have mercy on you, Admiral. We will not. The transmission ended, leaving Daeho staring at the image of Earth, now surrounded by a glowing shield and bristling with weapons. All ships, he commanded. Full attack formation. Target their main defense platforms first, then the satellites. Show these humans the true power of the Kralgon Empire. As his fleet moved into position, Daeho pushed away the small voice of doubt in his mind. No single planet had ever stood against the Kralgon Empire. Today would be no different. He was wrong. The weapons of 300 Kralgon warships fired, simultaneously a storm of energy directed at Earth. For a heartbeat, the bridge of the eternal conquest was silent as Admiral Daeho and his crew waited for the devastation their attack would cause. Instead, they watched in shock as Earth's shield absorbed their weapons fire completely. More astonishing still, the energy didn't simply disappear. It was collected, redirected, and channeled back toward the Kralgon fleet in a blinding counterattack. Evasive maneuvers! Daeho shouted, but it was too late. 20 Kralgon ships were hit by their own energy, their shields failing instantly. Impossible, Subin whispered, his face pale. They're using our own weapons against us. Before Daeho could issue new orders, Earth launched its true attack. From the lunar surface, massive railguns fired projectiles at incredible speeds. These weren't simple metal slugs, but complex devices that split into multiple targeted warheads as they approached the fleet. Shields failing, cried the defensive systems officer. These projectiles are generating localized quantum disruption, fields. On the tactical display, Daeho watched in horror as the mighty dreadnought, Imperial Fist, was struck by 3 such projectiles. Its shields flickered and died. A second later, the massive ship exploded, taking 4 nearby cruisers with it. Launch all fighters, Daeho ordered. Target those lunar weapons. The Kralgon fighters, thousands of them, poured from the larger ships and streaked toward the moon. They were the pride of the Imperial fleet, faster and more maneuverable than any enemy craft encountered before. But as they approached, hidden hangar doors opened in Earth's mountains, oceans, and even its polar ice caps. From these emerged Earth's own fighters, sleek black craft that moved with impossible speed and precision. "What are those things?" Deho demanded as he watched the tactical display. The Earth fighters engaged the Kralgon craft, and the difference was immediately apparent. Where Kralgon pilots relied on computer targeting systems, the Earth machines seemed to anticipate every move. They spun, rolled, and changed direction with no apparent concern for the laws of physics or the limitations of materials. "Sir," said the sensor operator, her voice shaking, "those aren't piloted craft, they're some kind of autonomous drones." In less than a minute, hundreds of Kralgon fighters were destroyed, while not a single Earth craft had been lost. But the true horror was yet to come. The Kralgon Imperial fleet appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, a mass of metal and energy that glittered against the black void. Admiral Zhou walked slowly across the bridge of his flagship, Eternal Conquest, his boots making soft sounds on the polished floor. He was tall and thin, with a face marked by years of battle. His dark uniform bore many medals, each representing a world that had fallen to his forces. "Status report," Zhou said, his voice calm but firm. "All 322 warships present and accounted for." "Admiral," replied Commander Subin, a younger officer with a perfect record of loyalty. "We've entered the system undetected, as expected from such a primitive species." Zhou nodded and looked at the main screen showing their target. Earth. It was a blue and green planet, small and seemingly insignificant. According to all their intelligence, humans had only basic space travel abilities. They had a few small stations orbiting their world and had managed to place some simple outposts on their moon and the nearby red planet. Nothing that could possibly stand against the might of the Kralgon Empire that had conquered 3 arms of the galaxy over the past 5 centuries. "Bring up the tactical display," Zhou ordered. Immediately, a 3-dimensional map appeared, showing Earth and its defenses as understood by Kralgon intelligence, a few hundred satellites, most for communication, a handful of primitive weapons platforms, nothing that could harm even the smallest Kralgon vessel. "Such a waste of time," muttered Captain Jin Ho from his station. "We could take this world with just 10 ships." "Perhaps," said Zhou. "But the Emperor wishes to make a statement. Earth sits at the edge of contested space. Taking it quickly and completely will send a message to the other powers." The bridge crew nodded in understanding. Politics always played a part in military decisions. The fast conquest of Earth would serve as both expansion and warning. "How long until we reach optimal broadcast range?" Zhou asked. 3 hours at current speed, Admiral," Subin answered. "Good. Prepare the standard ultimatum message. Have it translated into all major Earth languages." Zhou turned and walked to the large window at the front of the bridge, looking out at the distant stars. "Let's give them the usual terms. Complete. Surrender or complete destruction." In his private thoughts, Zhou almost hoped the humans would resist. It had been too long since he'd seen a proper battle. Most races surrendered immediately upon seeing the Kralgon fleet. The ones that fought usually managed only token resistance. The outcome was always the same. Another world added to the Empire. Another species serving Kralgon masters. "Sir," called out the communications officer, "I'm detecting unusual energy. Readings from Earth." Zhou turned, one eyebrow raised. "Explain." "It's strange, sir. Brief pulses of energy unlike anything in our database. They appear and disappear too quickly to analyze properly." "Weapon systems?" Zhou asked, suddenly more interested. "Unknown, sir, but power levels are significant." For the first time, a small seed of doubt appeared in Zhou's mind. The intelligence on Earth was thorough, gathered over decades of secret observation. Could they have missed something? "Increase our alert level," he ordered, "and speed up our approach. I want to reach broadcast range in 1 hour, not 3. "Yes, Admiral," Subin acknowledged, immediately relaying the orders. The massive fleet adjusted its course, engines flaring brighter as they accelerated toward Earth. In the tactical room adjacent to the bridge, weapons officers began running additional checks on their systems. Standard procedure, but performed with extra care now. Zhou returned to his command chair and opened a secure channel to his ship captains. This is Admiral Zhou. We may be facing unusual circumstances with this conquest. Remain vigilant. Be prepared for unexpected resistance, though I doubt the humans can offer anything significant. As the fleet moved deeper into the solar system, passing the gas giants with their many moons, Zhou reviewed the standard invasion procedures. First, the ultimatum. Then, regardless of response, a demonstration strike on an uninhabited area, usually a desert or ocean. This showed the target species the futility of resistance. After that, surgical strikes on military installations followed by occupation of major cities. Earth would be no different from the hundreds of worlds that had fallen before it. By tomorrow, it would be just another name on the long list of Kralgon conquests, or so Admiral Zhou believed, unaware that Earth had been preparing for this day for much longer than he could imagine. In a hidden command center beneath the mountains, General Ji-un stood before a massive wall of screens, her calm demeanor masking the tension in the room. The largest display showed the approaching Kralgon fleet now passing Jupiter. Unlike what the aliens believed, Earth had known about them for decades. Status report, Ji-un said, her voice steady. All defense systems online and hidden, General, replied Colonel Han Jun, a stocky man with a scar across his right cheek. The orbital shield network is ready but inactive. Lunar batteries are charged. Underwater platforms are in position. Ji-un nodded. And the aliens? Still coming, said Captain Sunmi, the young head of intelligence. She adjusted her glasses as she studied her screen. They've increased speed. Seems they detected our sensor pulses. A small smile crossed Ji-un's face. Good. Let them think they've found something unusual but not threatening. The room hummed with quiet activity as hundreds of staff monitored systems and prepared for what was coming. This moment had been 50 years in the making, ever since a damaged alien scout ship crashed in the remote mountains. From that wreckage, humanity had learned not only about the wider galaxy, but also about the ruthless Kralgon Empire. Instead of announcing this discovery to the world, a secret global coalition had formed. They had studied the alien technology, while deliberately maintaining a public image of limited space capabilities. All the while, Earth's best minds had been building defenses that were now hidden in plain sight. Message incoming from the alien fleet, announced Communications Officer Jun Ho, broadcasting on all major frequencies and in multiple languages. Put it through, ordered Ji-un. The main screen shifted to show the face of Admiral Zhou. Even through the alien features, his arrogance was clear. People of Earth, the Admiral began. I am Admiral Zhou of the Kralgon Imperial Fleet. Your world now stands at the edge of a glorious future as part of our empire. Surrender immediately, and your transition to Imperial rule will be peaceful. Resist, and you will be crushed. You have 1 Earth hour to respond. Choose wisely. The message ended, returning the screen to the image of the approaching fleet. Well, said Ji-un with a slight smile, at least they're predictable. Should we respond? Asked Han Jun. No, Ji-un replied firmly. Silence will confuse them. It's neither acceptance nor defiance. Let them wonder. Sunmi looked up from her station. General, they're scanning us more intensively now. They might detect some of our orbital defenses if they look hard enough. Let them look, Ji-un said. The primary systems are shielded. Even if they spot something unusual, they won't understand what they're seeing until it's too late. Around the world, in similar command centers built deep underground or beneath ocean floors, other commanders waited for Ji-un's signal. This was no single nation's defense, but a truly global one. Old enemies had become allies in the face of this threat from the stars. They're launching probes, reported the sensor officer. 4 small vessels heading for different parts of our atmosphere. Track them but don't engage, Ji-un ordered. Let's see what they're looking for. The hour passed slowly. In cities around the world, life continued normally. The public had no knowledge of the fleet hanging above them, as governments had decided not to cause panic. If the defense systems worked as designed, most people would never know how close Earth had come to invasion. The hour is up, Han Jun noted. No response from the Kralgons yet. As if on cue, Admiral Zhou's face appeared again on the main screen. Your silence is taken as defiance, he stated coldly. Very well. We will now demonstrate the power you face. After this display, you will be given one final chance to surrender. The transmission ended. They're targeting the Northern Pacific, Sunmi reported. Uninhabited area, about 1,000 kilometers east of Japan. Ji-un nodded. Standard procedure. They always start with a show of force. She pressed a button on her command console. All stations, this is General Ji-un. The moment they fire their demonstration weapon, activate Phase 1 defenses only. I repeat, Phase 1 only. Let's not show all our cards at once. Acknowledgements came in from around the world. Thousands of soldiers and technicians prepared to spring the trap that humanity had spent decades preparing. Weapon charging on their lead ship, Hanjun announced, tension evident in his voice. Ji-un stood straighter, her eyes fixed on the main display.